Martinez Live.
Don't know what it is that makes me love you so. I only know I never.
Well, hello, America. Bill Martinez here with you. For more information on the show, BillMartinezLive.com. That's where you want to go if you want to drop me an email. We'd love to hear from you. Bill at BillMartinezLive.com. We come to you every Monday through Friday from 9 to 11 Eastern in over 270 markets across these United States and around the world via shortwave. With us right now is an old friend. We've talked to him before. He created a lot of controversy, and we had to have him back. And it's always good to be talking to Jon to give us some insight, particularly when we're looking at Super Bowl 50 just around the corner. And I thought, hey, let's talk football. Let's talk the quarterbacks and what we can expect from the brainiac himself, Jon Niednagel. Jon, welcome back to Bill Martinez Live. How are you?
I'm doing great, Bill. It's so good to be with you.
Well, here we are. We've got Super Bowl 50 coming up. Let's talk the two quarterbacks. Peyton Manning, you've done a lot of work and research on Peyton Manning relevant to brain typing over the years. And Cam Newton, relatively new, but I'm sure he's very well brain typed by you. So let's tell us what we can expect from these quarterbacks.
Okay. Well, actually, they're very similar in many respects. There's just one big distinction which affects both mind and motor skills. But they're both strongest in the right front part of the brain. They both are front brain athletes. They're high energy. They have really good vision and peripheral awareness. They're both thinkers in the right brain. They have great spatial logic, not just, where you can add numbers or figure out something in a numerical, grammatical way. And they're both right brain dominant, meaning they both have a more fluid type of movements. And so those attributes, where they differ dramatically is Peyton is what we call a dominant empirical. He's a dominant sensing person. He's so caught up in the moment. That's why he's the greatest tactician that ever played quarterback. He's on the line. He sees everything there is. He calls them out instantly. Actually, Steve Nash had that design in the NBA, and they have the most superior vision of all the brain types. And that's where you go back, and John Elway had that, and Joe Namath and Joe Montana. That brain type has always been the top quarterback, but there aren't many of them running around. Now, they don't all turn out to be great because some of them have other issues, but that's his design.
Yeah, like guys that aren't covering their blind side, John. Those other issues can get in the way, right?
Yes, absolutely. Brett Favre. I mean, they can really get in their partiers, and there's all kinds of even Hulk Hogan has that design. But anyway, the Cam is more conceptual, intuitive, big picture, and they do much better in school academically overall. Though Peyton did well because of his parental influence. The thing about Cam is that where his motor skills won't, even though he can zing the ball and he's graceful how he runs, passing it you'll see more of loose motor movements. And now he's worked at it more and more. And then secondarily, under big time pressure, I'll take Peyton's brain any day, because what happens when you put that type under pressure, you go to the dominant part of the brain under pressure, and that's vision for Peyton. For Cam, it's imagining what could be, not seeing what is, but imagining what could be. And so those guys, and there have been a lot of quarterbacks with Cam's design. In fact, it's the most commonly found type in the NFL, a quarterback, and they can do very, very well. But under big time pressure, they can anticipate one of their guys doing something when he really doesn't. Whereas Peyton, his design will follow the guy all the way. Now, the funny thing about Peyton is his type is a gunslinger, and if something goes bad, they'll just keep right on zinging it, and they don't want to accept blame either. So they'll just say, well, the wind blew or the guy didn't run his route right. But the big difference is if you look back through history, 90% of your top quarterbacks of all time have had Peyton's design, and that's why when I came out 12 years ago on national television, I said, I can guarantee you there's this top design, and Ryan Leaf is about number 8 out of 16 in terms of the top quarterbacks, whereas Cam's is in the top 3 types for quarterbacks, but it's not your number one under the biggest of moments. But if the rest of the team is playing well and all, he could look great, and Peyton could stink it up in this Super Bowl coming up. But I'm just saying, all things being equal, Peyton's brain is wired best under Super Bowl type pressure.
Exactly. Would Cam be more prone, even though you have the gunslinging aspect of a Peyton Manning, but because of Cam's way he envisions things under pressure, would he be more prone to interceptions?
Well, they are, and the reason is that's the thing, especially at the biggest moments, like the beginning of the game is a time where you really want to put the pressure on guys like that because they haven't relaxed enough. I don't care what kind of meditation they've been doing. And so their motor skills are going to be not as compact. They'll get a little more squirrely, and the ball will go here, go there. They're more apt to fumble the ball. As receivers, they'll drop those initial passes because their hands are real soft. Peyton's hands, they're like vice grips. They're fine motor dominant, his brain type. That's why even the gloves. I remember being in Denver years ago watching John Elway and playing against the Chiefs, who I was working for at the time. And Elway, I told the quarterback on the Chiefs, and I was with the team and everything. I said, and some other guys, watch John because it was snowy, it was bad. I said he's going to have a hard time grabbing the ball. And in fact, one of the guys, I said you can pick him. And actually, John was picked off twice in that game by a Chief, 2 or 3 times. And it's because you have to have soft hands when it's rainy or it's nastier weather. And that's another reason why Peyton's had a tough time when it gets really cold, is that he's got vice grips for hands, and that works when it's warmest and you don't make it too tight. Yes. So anyway, we're back to Cam, is that actually if it's nasty weather, raining and stuff like that, Cam has the advantage. He will grip the ball softer, and it won't, whereas than Peyton would naturally.
Well, the 2 other playoff games, you wrote a lot about Carson Palmer. And I heard all over the country, Cincinnati fans said, not surprised.
He came out before he played his first game. I went on Mike and Mike in the morning on ESPN, and I think I spoke for 8 or 9 minutes. It's on our website. You can go there and hear the whole thing. And I laid out Carson was not going to be who they thought he was. All the people were saying he'll be another Elway, he'll be another Aikman. He was the #1 pick in the draft. And I said, hey, he'll have a cannon for an arm. He'll be the nicest guy in the world. You give him protection, and he'll do real well, et cetera, et cetera. But he's not right brain. He's left brain. I know what that is. I am left brain myself. 20% of the population is. That's all. And we get tunnel vision under pressure. The right brainers still keep their good peripheral awareness. And that's why Ryan Leaf, I called it. Ryan Leaf was a left brain dominant guy, and they aren't going to excel in that mode. Plus, Carson has other things that his big muscles will tighten up, and that's why he fumbled a couple of times. He had 6 turnovers in the last game, so he could have still won that game had they orchestrated it properly for his design. I don't know whether he won on it because Carolina played so well, but he could have performed so much better had his coaching staff understood Carson's design before the biggest of moments. During the season, he was relaxed, he had good circumstances, and so his body worked well. And lastly, I did a 20-page report on Carson. So for anybody who wants to go to our website and see it, this is what I wrote 12, 13 years ago before he came out, and it's exactly as he's turned out. So it hasn't been a surprise to me. In fact, when I talked about this in the very beginning, I wanted people to not have the expectation so high. I was actually supporting Carson, saying, hey, he can really be a very, very good quarterback, but don't put this label on him that he's got to bail you out of these situations and be like these other superstars. He will not be that guy. So use him for what he is, and you can still go a long way, and he can get in the Pro Bowl and everything else, which he did this year, finally, and so forth. So anyway, that's why it's so important to know these designs. It's not only what they are, but how to develop them, how to understand them, how to get the max out of them.
Yeah, put them in a position where they have a fair chance to be successful with the God-giving talents they have. What about Tom Brady, John?
Again, I've been writing about Brady for eons, and every time I hear people say he's the greatest quarterback of all time, I just sit there and I laugh because I go, even science is going to prove that very soon here with all the stuff we've been doing, that he isn't. Now, he's the best quarterback Bill Belichick could have ever gotten. Belichick is another one of those 15s we talked about on the political side. It's the ultimate CEO, and we can definitely see that in the way he operates things. It's my way or the highway. And so in that system, Belichick has made it, because Tom's design, it's the top gymnast in the world. They can have a beautiful throw, very accurate. They're team players, very compliant. Peyton Manning never would have made it with Belichick. They would have hammered heads, and he wouldn't have done what Belichick wanted to do. Peyton has to call his own thing, more or less, and audible and all that. Right. And so anyway, no, Tom was excellent for that system, but if you were to put him with all the other top quarterbacks of all time and put him on a different team, no way would he perform the same way. In fact, he even did a quote that somebody asked him, what if you'd been drafted by somebody else? And I think he said, well, more or less, that we wouldn't be talking about him right now. He even knows what Belichick has done for 17 years of his professional career.
Yeah, it definitely has been a partnership that has worked together. I mean, to the point of what we talked about, as opposed to Carson Palmer having a coach that could put him in the right position to give him an opportunity to win. And if we go back and remember where Tom Brady was, he was drafted, what was the number that he was drafted at? Over 100, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was, sixth round, or I don't know, somewhere down there.
But, I mean, he wasn't supposed to perform at this level, so he's been an absolute surprise. But it's because of that partnership with Belichick, clearly, right?
Well, yeah, and he had a design far better than a Ryan Leaf. Mm-hmm. You'll find there are other QBs with Tom's design. In fact, there's one other one that I went on national TV years ago when he came out, and that's Drew Brees, who's been a complete overachiever. Now, he was much more mobile than Tom, but again, the accurate arm could move around. As long as that they can do certain things, they're going to excel. That's why he didn't do as well with the Chargers. He gets down in with the Saints, and he can now do so much more with some. They use his abilities in specific ways, but most of the people with that design have bombed out and have not made it because they didn't have the athleticism or all the background that these other guys did. And lastly, Tom has very good neurons otherwise, but I will say this: I saw a thing the other day on the news thing, and they were saying the biggest whiners of all, and when Tom Brady was there, and even his own teammates talk about how he just sounds like a little kid at times when he gets all uptight. And he's a feeling person in the right amygdala of the brain, the deep limbic system, and under big time pressure they'll melt down. So that's why I know if you put the heat on Brady and you start doing a pick or two, that's why he didn't even pull the trigger at the end of the last game. He wouldn't throw it to Gronk because now he's so messed up in his mind in that he too is creative big picture, and now he's imagining. They turn phobic, they get very fear-based.
Exactly. Well, John, we're out of time. As always, we got more information than time, but thank you so much. We're looking forward to Super Bowl 50. Jon Niednagel, go to his website, braintypes.com, for more information.